My name is Carly Isley, and I did my presentation on business communications in the workplace emailing. Pros to emailing in the workplace are more people can be involved in your emails. You can just add them into your to's box and add their email address. You can also easily add attachments to your emails, such as PowerPoints, images, or Word documents. You can communicate by email at any time of the day. As long as you have access to internet, you should be able to communicate by email, sending them and responding to them. You do not have to be present to receive emails. You can be out of the office and still receive your emails, and once you get back into the office, you can always reply to them. You can request evidence of a receipt. Even if it's on an email that you wrote 2 years ago, you can still go back and research that email as long as you haven't deleted it all the way. You can always go into your delete columns and check for that email and see what time and date and who it was sent to. Some cons to emailing. Not every email sent will be professional. In the workplace, you always want to present yourself professionally, but sometimes in email there is lack of professionalism. A lot of that is due to people not learning how to use email properly. Emailing can be hacked. There's always hackers out there, and you want to make sure when you're emailing that you always send secured emails if it contains any personal information. Emailing can be coming out of date. In my job, we now use IM, which is more popular than what our emailing is. If it's something that needs to be instantly said to someone, then we choose our IM. Emailing can be abused. A lot of the times with having a work email, people will send their personal information to their work email. That can also relate back to being hacked. With personal and non-work related information by email, it tends to drop security. It also forces workers to multitask. Some people aren't able to multitask very well. At my job, we have to multitask between waiting on customers, waiting on the phone calls, and also emailing back and forth. Emails are important in my line of work because you always communicate through them, and if someone's coming in or you need someone to sign something, it's always communicated by email. Suggestions on how to improve your writing skills in email are always use a subject. You always want to write a brief subject about your email paragraph. Keep the messages to the point and brief. You always want to keep your messages to the point so that way your reader doesn't get lost in your email. Adding a carbon copier if needed. If you need to add someone into the email but do not want them to be seen by the person you're sending it to, then you can always CC them in there, which means adding a carbon copier. Adding a closing that encourages them to call you if needed. Any other form of communication, you always want to include where you can be contacted at in your email, just in case if they have any questions that they can't reply back to an email. And you always want to include your contact information at the bottom. Any phone numbers, your personal email address or your work email address, and an extension if you're at work. And this is just a diagram of a basic email layout. On step 1, it's just pointing to the to box, and that's where you'll add your email to the person who you're wanting to communicate it to. On step 2 is your CC, which is your carbon copy. That's where you can add anybody secretly, so that way you can't see the recipient. And step 3 is your subject. That's where you just want to add a brief description of what your email is about. Step 4, you can change your font. If you ever want to add your signature to an email, you can make it look like a signature by changing your font. Step 5, you can change your font size in case if a word needs to stand out. You can always make it bigger. And also, step 7, your spell check. You can Always spell check your Word document to make sure you sound professional. And I also recommend rereading your email before you send it. And these are my sources.